you guys know that trucks ride on a cloud of air? Literally. Trucks have what's called airbag suspension. And all that means is instead of having regular metal coil springs or leaf springs, it has these airbags here that hold up the entire weight of the truck. That's right. 4 on the tractor, most of the time 4 on the trailer. That's all you have holding up 80,000 pounds or more. And they're incredibly effective, they're very reliable, and there's several advantages over leaf springs or even coil springs on smaller trucks. But there's several advantages over leaf springs in semi trucks. Now, you do have to inspect them. There are failure points, but for the most part, they're extremely reliable. Let's get into it. Okay, so if essentially what you have is just this big piece of rubber mounted to these 2 pieces of metal, and it just inflates. It's really hard, really, and it can support all the weight of the truck in the load, and it compresses and retracts every time you hit a bump. Very comfortable, much more comfortable than a leaf spring. But there's a couple other advantages besides the comfort. First, and something you might not think about, these are what's called self-leveling. You got this leveling bar here, and what that does is when this goes up or down, it'll activate a valve, add air or take air out of the airbags to make sure that your load is level side to side and front to back, so that you don't have one axle that's actually off the ground, and it actually evens out the weight constantly between the front and the rear axle and the tractor and the trailer axles. Pretty trick stuff if you ask me. So it's not just the comfort. The comfort's number one advantage, but also it helps level out the load, or level out the tractor and trailer and everything. Helps evenly distribute pressure to all 18 tires. Well, 2 in the front don't have airbags most of the time. But some other advantages are you could drop the air out of the airbags to back underneath the trailer, or like when I was in Queens and had to go underneath 13-foot 4 bridge. But anyway, there's a lot of advantages to being able to drop them, and they have a lot of trucks actually have this new sophisticated remote. I believe Freightliners have it. Most Freightliners have it. You can raise the bags also. If you have a trailer with the landing gear that's too high, you can raise the bags, lift the trailer up, lower the landing gear, get it back down to right height. Bam. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Now, another advantage is just their longevity and just them being tough. Now, I said that leaf springs don't require a whole lot of maintenance, but you do have to inspect them and make sure that none are broken. Now, I'd say these probably will fail as much as leaf springs will, but I mean, considering all the advantages and the failure points that there could be, I think they're extremely reliable. Now, those are the advantages, but let's get into the failure points. Let's get into some of the things, downsides to airbag suspension semi-trucks, and what you're going to have to do to keep up maintenance and inspect them. So first of all, you're going to get under here and you're just going to make sure they're all inflated and they hold air, and that there's no air leaks. There's air fittings you'll have to check, air lines, inspect, make sure they're not chafing on any sharp edges, and yeah, that's basically it. That's all the inspection that you're going to need. But if they're leaking, you have to change them out, because that's a violation. Any air leak's a violation. And really, that's all the maintenance you need to do. You just need to inspect them. I've seen them last over 1,000,000 miles. So just make sure they're not leaking, make sure all the airlines are good and all that. And this rubber actually lasts a long time, and you could drop the airbags and inflate them so many times. We do it on the trailers all the time, because actually when you're getting loaded, it's easier on the trailer and easier on the airbags to be loaded while they're empty. So basically, that is the overview on airbag suspension on a semi truck.